Hi, I'm Michelle Malik, and you're watching Indus Special. With e-commerce growing and gaining momentum each year, how has the sudden pandemic impacted online shopping across the world? On today's show, we take a deeper look. Joining us for this discussion is Mr. Paul Weboya, who is the founder of Touchword, a digital marketing agency. He joins us from Kampala in Uganda. Also joining us today is Mr. Ahmed Rauf Essa, who's the founder of Telemart, an e-commerce company within Pakistan. He joins us from Karachi. Thank you both for joining us and welcome to the show. Mr. Paul Weboya, let me begin with you now. As we're seeing, everything around the world is coming either to a sudden halt or is being disrupted completely. With lockdowns, travel bans, businesses are suffering tremendously. But when we look at the e-commerce market, it seems like that's a different scape altogether. Do you agree?
Well, the e-commerce and the online marketing and then business is really being impacted by this coronavirus, but it's not so straightforward as such. It is still a little bit of it continues to evolve as days come by and go. So you find out that each day there is probably an innovation that has come by, and then people are adopting to that. So literally, this is changing the face of online market, online or shopping, in a way that people are coming up with new innovations, new ideas on how to best deliver and do transactions online with the people who are now literally in lockdown and in quarantine. So I think this COVID has opened people's minds, has opened people's eyes in a way of marketing to people or selling products online without actually having contact, because we have an SOP of social distancing. So I think the COVID is opening people's eyes innovatively.
Right. Mr. Weboya, now, of course, a focus specifically on marketing. How do you feel like your marketing strategies have changed for the businesses you cater to, for other platforms that you're also observing, especially when we're talking about online shopping and selling? Is there a greater need to market it in a different way?
Yeah, sure. Apparently, now that we are in lockdown and quarantine, I think the only channels that we have are still limited to distancing, and that only gives us the opportunity of marketing on that we can actually exploit to see that we move our products from one area to the other. We transact with people who are now in the houses, who are in self quarantine, and then those ones who are actually trying to, practice social distancing.
Right.
So I think the only opportunity that we have is online business, to perfect the marketing strategy using the online bit of it. I think the online strategy should be really come out strongly. If there are any marketers out there who really want to make money out of in this pandemic crisis, I think online bit of business is going to be the perfect business, apparently, because we need to practice social distancing. People are not moving to the supermarkets as they used to, because we need to the self-quarantine. So it is...
Right. Mr. Weboya, going to now, let's talk to a person who is dealing with this on the ground, in the sense that he does own an online platform that's involved with dealing with customers, selling items. Let's talk to Mr. Essa about how his business has been impacted by what's going on in the world today.
Question talking about e-commerce in a time like these, we always thought that Pakistan would be seeing a good boom in e-commerce in the next 5 years. But unfortunately, the rest of the world is suffering because of the pandemic situation in the world. But the e-commerce industry is at the boom now. We are seeing a spike of 15, 20, 25 times of the revenue of the orders that we are doing on daily basis. And the number is increasing on every day basis. The reason is, at first we were seeing a spike in the health products, the supermarket products, the grocery products only, because people were thinking that the lockdown would survive till 7 days or 10 days. So they were focusing more on the health products, focusing more on the supermarket products. But then, unfortunately, the lockdown is going ahead and ahead and ahead. And recently, only the government announced, Pakistan announced that the lockdown will go down to 30th of April. And for sure, we can understand it will go down a bit more longer as well. So now people are even shopping mobile phones and every single thing. So the customer audience that we normally have is the e-commerce or digital audience. But now shutting down every retail store, every wholesale market, every distribution model, now everybody is the customer of e-commerce. So everybody is shopping online. There is
Right.
no other means to shop. So that is the only reasons our revenue is spiking. We in this scenario, people are downsizing, but in the case of my company, we are even hiring in this case.
Wow.
Because the reason is that we are not able to fulfill the needs of the customer. Plus, the warehousing capacity that we have multiplied the warehousing capacity as well. The reason is we are taking the stock. We are asking every retailer, every wholesaler to just open their outlets or their warehouses for once, take the stock and give it to us so that we can sell it.
Right. Mr. Essa, of course, no one was anticipating this pandemic. And when it hit us, every person with, especially a business owner, had to change their model, had to readjust. Now, you talked to us about how you are trying to maneuver with that, how you're trying to expand your business. What have been some of the major hurdles and hindrances you've had to face, given how supply chains are being disrupted, how it's difficult to even communicate and get businesses to open up and provide the necessary supplies to your platform to sell them onwards?
See, there are many problems that we are facing by now as well. Firstly, the courier partners are not up to the mark these days. The reason is because of the lockdown. There are certain areas, even in Karachi, the place we live, that I live in, even in Karachi, we have 15 different locations, 15 areas that are completely blocked. Even the couriers are not allowed to go there. So that has been a problem as well. Sellers are shut down. They're normally operating from markets, normally operating from different wholesale units in the city, in the commercial market. And every other commercial market is closed down. So we were fortunate enough that we took a good decision before the pandemic situation. We were starting a Pakistan Day sale on 20th of March. So we came up with a new plan to have an express delivery portal where we would be providing customers with instant deliveries across Pakistan. And even in Karachi, we were delivering within 3 hours in Karachi. So for that reason only, we had a lot of stock in our warehouses. And that was a plus point for us. Nearly every e-commerce company in Pakistan is not operational. And in this scenario, Telemart is being one of the most aggressive players in the industry. The reason is that we are keeping stock in-house. Even yesterday only, we are trying to push every seller that please just open it for once, or there are sellers as well who have an idea about the situation, who took everything that they had to their homes, to some safe locations where they can deliver us to. And now we are taking products in bulk from we always had a model of drop shipping, or we had a model of order-to-order basis inventory. Now we have moved to a very different model, which is keeping inventory in our warehouses and then delivering it to the customer.
Right. Stay with me on that point, Mr. Essa. I want to talk more about the SOPs you have in place, especially when we're talking about how to make sure deliveries are safe, how they reach the customer safe with minimum risk of transmission of the virus, all those practices that you have in place. But before that, I want to jump to Mr. Waboya and talk to him about something that Mr. Essa mentioned, was that, of course, people are realizing that this lockdown might be in place for much longer than they had hoped or anticipated. And now they're changing their ways. One of that obviously leads to how consumer behavior is changing. Are you noticing shifts? We've been seeing panic buying. We've been seeing many other things happening. What are some of the trends you've been witnessing?
The consumer behavior, when you look at the previous trends of online shopping compared to the current trends, there's a very big margin, and there's a very big difference between the two concepts. Previously, online marketing was shopping was mild. Apparently, online shopping has multiplied up to 78% of the people. Apparently, in Uganda, people are using social media to access CTAs, to know about products, to get knowledge about a couple of products around. So social media has multiplied by 200% in Uganda right now, in that everyone who wants to buy something probably goes to a social media platform of a particular company that offers that service or product, and then they click, and then they find out the pricing and they buy. So apparently, the consumer behavior is in a way that people are buying essentials, products that are going to last a little while. Things that are, let's talk about cereals, let's talk about preservatives. So people are buying particular products that are going to stay for a longer period, because each day we get extensions of the lockdown. The president yesterday just added more 21 days of self-quarantine. So apparently people have no hope of actually, having an immediate, opening of markets and transportation. So people are buying things that are going to last a little bit more longer without expiring, and then they're buying essentials that are really important in this kind of a crisis, so that they do not just waste money on a product. They buy something that will last, and then they'll be helped for a longer period.
Right.
That is the kind of consumer behavior that we've realized apparently, and then the online bit of it has really increased. We realized that there is a whole 68% of people that have now started embracing online shopping apparently in Uganda, as vis-a-vis the usual shopping of going to the supermarket physically, maybe driving somewhere to the company.
Right.
Premises.
Mr. Webwe, those are a bunch of points that you've listed out here, points that are very interesting to note how consumer patterns are changing. And thank you so much for your insight and joining us on the show today. Mr. Essa, talking more about some of the consumer behaviors. Now, we heard how there is a shift in the type of items people are seeking out, the type that they're buying more of. Now, one of the main things we've heard, and we've also heard our Prime Minister urged people not to indulge in, is panic buying, bulk buying. Now, businesses do during this time have to act more socially responsible than relative to other times, especially given how this is an emergency situation. How's your business coping with that issue of bulk buying, panic buying?
See, you cannot stop someone from buying if they want to buy in bulk. But for a reason that we don't want people to panic buying. Fortunate enough, Pakistan is fortunate enough that we are not seeing panic buying so much as we are seeing in the West or in China for the reason, or in Italy for the case. In Pakistan, we have been seeing one thing, that we have limited our website that every product, you can only buy 5 in quantity. Every product that can be bought would be in 5 quantity. That is the maximum of all. So we are not allowing customers to buy more than 5 products in a cart. And we are not even allowing them to or place order on regular basis. And these are for the products that are not available very widely. The products that are available widely, and we think, yes, we have ample quantity, ample stock to cater to customer for the next 2 or 3 months. Then we have open end for those products as well.
Right. Now, talking more about the aspect of maintaining social distancing for the workers, and also for making sure that the products themselves are hygienic, they are not contaminated in any manner. What are some of the SOPs that you and many other businesses that are operating online are adopting? What are some of the guidelines?
First thing that we are not fully operational. I guess 60% of my team is now sitting at home and they're working from home. The first thing is that for social distancing, you need few people in the office so that they're not very close to each other. Secondly, we are not allowing our individuals to come without disinfectant sprays, without sanitizers, without masks, and that is everything is provided by the company. Thirdly, for the warehouse and for the products that we have in warehouse, we are using disinfectant sprays so that every product that enters our warehouse is very clean. We are not allowing couriers to enter our warehouses. We are only allowing authorized individuals from my company only to enter the warehouses. And we also have we always have been pushing the courier for this as well. And the courier as well is acting very smartly and in the right manner. They are also using sprays on their vehicles, and they are also providing sanitizers to their staff as well. So that we are trying every single thing so that when the product reaches the customer, it's pretty clean and it's not the one that is creating more and more panic in the country.
Right. That, of course, are guidelines that should be followed throughout for all businesses that are dealing directly with customers and for their own staff as well, that they should have hygienic practices all across. I want to introduce on that point Mr. Gilbert Van Kartkove, who's an economist and president of Beijing Global Strategy. He joins us from Beijing. Thank you so much, Mr. Gilbert, for joining us, and welcome to the show. Now, as we've been talking about the e-commerce landscape, how that has been impacted, we heard our guest here, Mr. Essa, talk about how his company is expanding, and that seems to be a trend all across the world. Amazon has just declared that they're going to be hiring an additional 75,000 people. What has the situation been like in China, which has one of the largest e-commerce markets in the world?
In China,